When I was 14, I dated a boy who eventually murdered my best friend. Robert lived down the street from me. The very first day I kissed him, he proceeded to rape me. Robert convinced me that it was my fault, so I agreed to stay with Robert. The next year, my friend Katrina went missing. At that time, I was still dating Robert. They started the process of getting him convicted before her body was ever found. Robert was convicted and eventually got life in prison. I felt tremendous guilt because I felt like I should have been the one to die and not her because she was an only child. I had 3 other siblings and frankly, my parents weren't paying attention to me anyway. Even though the rape and the murder still affect me, I feel like the abuse that was going on in my home as a child still affects me more.
So you were entangled in all of this, and what did you say to yourself when you realized that you had been dating the young man that murdered your friend?
Well, there's a tremendous amount of guilt that was affiliated with it because he did convince me. And if I can tell anybody out there one thing that they remember is that rape is never the person's fault. And he convinced me that it was my fault because it was so beautiful and I let him on. And I had a friend tell me, you know, if you don't tell on him, that he will murder somebody. And I thought she was crazy. I didn't believe her. So those words have always haunted me. And my parents were not, I mean, I saw my mom shaking her head, but they were not available. And I did not get the therapy that I needed to get past that trauma at that time. I've worked a lot on it. I've worked a lot with, you know, NLP and with different types of doctors to resolve a lot of that trauma. I've wanted to confront him in prison because I also feel bad for him. And you know, a life conviction, nobody won in the end. It didn't bring her back.
That's a terrible thing to go through. I'm sorry that you had to go through that.
Thank you. I mean, I believe it in some ways made me the person I am because I know we've seen a lot of the train wreck, and I admit that. I am a strong person. And also, Dr. Phil, I think that part of the reason I react so harshly when I believe people are lying about me is because so many people said I was lying, and I wasn't. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I switched schools at that time. And girls aren't always really nice to girls who are sophomores in high school coming in. And, you know, all of a sudden some of the guys wanted to date me. I felt completely alone. And frankly, I felt completely alone my entire life.